Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope all of you are doing well. So, today I wanted to talk about three of what I believe, in my opinion, are three of Michael Keaton's most underrated films. Michael Keaton is a phenomenal actor. His range of films are truly, truly amazing, and he's been in pretty much just about every genre you can think of. Now, of course, there are other films that are underrated in his filmography, but I don't have those films. I'm just going with three that I have in my collection that I do feel to be underrated. Now, when we think, of course, of Michael Keaton, we think of Batman, Batman Returns, and of course, Beetlejuice. But throughout his career, he's had a lot of great films, some great and some not so great. And one of those films that is not so great would be White Noise, that he did, I believe, back in 2006 or 2005, somewhere around there. Might even be 2004. But throughout, his career, he has had a lot of good ones. And the three I have, not only do I find them to be very underrated, but I find them to be very entertaining. So the first one here is Multiplicity. Now, this is a movie I never hear people talk about. It was a film that came out, I believe, in 1996. And for some odd reason, I always thought this movie came out before that. But no, apparently it came out in 96. And basically, he plays I believe, a construction worker. He's kind of like upper management who, between his work life and his personal life and not getting things done in his personal life, like uh, re, what is it? I wouldn't say reinventing, but renovating him and his wife's house. Things just start to become too much. He is approached by this doctor, and that doctor is played by the actor who plays the judge in Ghostbusters 2, and he talks about cloning. So Michael Keaton agrees and ends up cloning himself, and then his clone ends up cloning himself. So eventually, we have four Michael Keaton's. Michael Keaton plays Doug, who is the main character, and then we get these other versions of Doug. We get the more feminine version of Doug, the more mentally, I wouldn't say challenged, but more of the childlike Doug, and then we get more of like the douchebag, like really big asshole type Doug, and just having all four of them really interact with each other is really great. And for Michael Keaton to kind of step up and play four different characters in this film just really shows how much or how, I wouldn't say how much, but how great of an actor he can be, playing four different characters with these four different personalities. And the film has a great cast. You have the likes of Eugene Levy, and of course, what is her name? Andy McDowell, who plays his wife. Definitely one I never hear people talk about. It was one of those ones that kind of fell under the radar, but I think over the years it has grown to be a cult classic, and it's just fun and entertaining. And it's one I feel like everybody should give a chance. Every time I watch this, I still laugh my ass off because it's still as entertaining as it was the first time. It still continues to be entertaining, and yeah, definitely an underrated film for sure. Next is Johnny Dangerously. So, Johnny Dangerously is a film that came out in the early 80s and is pretty much a forgotten Michael Keaton film. I would say it's pretty much forgotten. And this is kind of a spoof in a way. It does spoof a lot, but it's not like spoofing other things. I mean, it is in some way, but it doesn't take itself seriously and it doesn't get too over the top. There are moments where it does, but it blends really well, so you can't really tell. And the characters in this are fantastic. And then there's just these little gags that really get you laughing. Now, what's also interesting about this is that this is not. I believe this might be the first time that Danny DeVito and Michael Keaton worked together. I don't know if they worked together in any other films, but yes, Danny DeVito is in this, and of course they would work together for a numerous amount of films with Tim Burton, Batman Returns, Dumbo, I believe, and there might be a few other films as well. So it's really great to see, somebody that Michael Keaton has worked with. You also get the likes of Dom DeLuise, Peter Boyle, Joe Piscopo. I mean, you get a great cast. There's also Mary Lou Henner. Um, so yeah, just a really great cast, just very entertaining. Just the little spoofs that they have, and the story is really unique. And well, I wouldn't say it's unique, but the story is very entertaining, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You got Michael Keaton, who plays Johnny Dangerously. He basically, becomes a gangster, and he mainly does it to kind of help his mom out, who she says she's in her 30s, but she's a lot older than that, and that's kind of one of the gags they go with. And Johnny's kind of well known throughout the community, and his boss, played by Peter Boyle, wants to eventually have him take over. And then we have Joe Piscopo, who's kind of the rival. He knows Johnny, he has history with Johnny when they were kids. And Joe Piscopo has this gag throughout the film as well, where like in certain situations he's like, my mother kicked me once, and he does that every time. There's like these different little stories. That's how he ends up doing saying it. Excuse me. So the little gags that you get throughout the film, I think, are very funny. Of course, Mary Lou Henner is kind of the love interest, and all in all, it's just fun. Now the rival, in this, that can't stand Peter Boyle is probably one of the highlights of this movie, because the way he talks and his English is broken, and just how he calls them an asshole, is just absolutely entertaining, and it's highly recommend to check this one out. Now, mind you, there is no Blu-ray release. This is a homebrew that I found off of eCrater, which is a better term for a bootleg. Now the DVD is available, or the movie is available on DVD. The DVD is out of print. I think it's more on the affordable side, around, I would say, around 10 to 15 bucks. But it's very entertaining, and this homebrew was definitely worth it. I think it looks great, and yeah, highly recommend. Another of Keaton's most underrated films, and not only underrated but forgotten. And then lastly is Mr. Mom. So Mr. Mom's a fun one, another underrated one, and another one that kind of falls in the same category as Johnny Dangerously, has kind of just been forgotten. It's a classic 80s comedy where Michael Keaton basically plays a stay-at-home father. He loses his job and decides to be the stay-at-home father while his wife goes and works. And of course, there starts to become issues between the two in their marriage, with certain people involved. And he ends up becoming friends with the moms around the neighborhood, and starts like this little poker group. And yeah, it's just very fun and entertaining. It's not like your over the top comedies like you would get with Johnny Dangerously or Multiplicity. It's more of like a toned down comedy, which I do like. And I just like the whole story, and it definitely makes for a very fun, experience, I guess. Um, but it also has that drama aspect, which I like. And the cast alone on this is fantastic. Not only do you have Michael Keaton, of course, you got the late great Martin Mull, who's been in a wide range of things. He's been in Clue. He had a recurring role in Roseanne. He was, I believe, the principal in Sabrina the Teenage Witch. So he definitely had an ongoing career And then you have, of course, Christopher Lloyd. This would not be the first time, or I mean, I don't know if this was the first time they worked together, but of course they would work together again on the Dream Team. So Michael Keaton has worked with actors that he's worked with before. He has worked with them again in other films, which is always nice to see. And you also have, I don't think it shows on here, does it? um, Terry Garr, and unfortunately, we lost Terry Garr as well. She plays Michael Keaton's wife in this, and I think she's fantastic. And all in all, it's just a fun movie. It's not over the top. It's not gonna be like your, you know, over the top comedy. It's more toned down, but you do have the drama aspect. So, which I do like, the drama and comedy aspect when it's blended right. Same with like horror and comedy. If those things can be blended right, then it definitely makes for an entertaining film. So, yeah, Mr. Mom, just a really fun one. I wish I could say more. So, thank you guys so much for tuning in to my video. Not bad when it comes to Michael Keaton and his underrated films, in my opinion. So yeah, those are the three Michael Keaton films that I find to be underrated: Mr. Mom, Johnny Dangerously, and Multiplicity. As I stated before at the beginning of the video, there are other films that are underrated in his filmography. Unfortunately, I don't have those films. Hopefully, down the road, I can pick them up. Like an honorable mention would be The Dream Team, and I think it's called My Life, where he plays an individual who's diagnosed with cancer, and he videotapes his life for his children and his wife. And Nicole Kidman, I think, is in that movie and plays his wife. That's a fantastic film, probably one of the best performances I've seen Michael Keaton do. So that's a film I would definitely recommend, and it's an honorable mention. But those two films I don't have, and of course we know all the popular ones: Batman, Batman Returns, Beetlejuice. I mean, the Birdman. I mean, there's so many great films out there, but there's always those underrated ones. So thank you guys for tuning in. Excuse me. I hope you guys enjoyed, and let me know what Michael Keaton film you do find to be very underrated. I mean, there's so many films out there that he's done that I feel are on that list, but there's also a lot of actors out there who kind of, fall in the same category. So let me know what actor you find that has films in their filmography to be very underrated. I would love to hear you guys' opinion. Don't forget to give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and share it. It definitely helps me out. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content. But with that being said, on Film Talk with Mikey, until next time, we'll talk films. I apologize if I was a little all over the place on this video and I couldn't get to the point of what I was saying. It tends to happen, but you know what? That's what I try to do with these videos. I try to keep it authentic and real as much as I can. So you guys take care. Have a good one. Whether it's the morning, the evening, the night, depending what time of the day you're watching this, I hope it's good. And you guys take care, and I'll see you next time.